Good afternoon, Mr. Sanchez.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good. I'm going to read some information into the record. And if anything's wrong or incorrect, let me know, okay?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, we have Gary Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez is 71 years old. He's been incarcerated for 20 years on a 30-year sentence. He is a third felony offender with multiple sex offense convictions. He's been arrested 7 times. All 7 are related to sex crimes against juveniles. In 2019, he was required to take sex offender treatment. He refused, and a statement was signed by the offender refusing to attend sex offender classes. I don't understand an individual who's been arrested 6 times for 6 different sex crimes, convicted of 3 of those, and why would you refuse to take sex offender treatment?
At the time, sir, with a 30-year sentence, and at my age, at 82, and flat time, what would I have done with sex offender treatment at that time? At 82 years old, upon release, the only thing.
Tried to rehabilitate yourself and understand why you commit all these sex offender crimes.
Because I have a deviancy, sir. A straight up deviancy, mental deviancy. And I will seek professional help if, you know.
That is sufficient, Mr. Sanchez. Tell me about other programs that you've completed.
I've done religious courses. I've a degree in carpentry. I'm a fabrication specialist, metal welding. I've done food service, janitorial. Let me see.
Okay. Question: have you taken victim awareness?
Yes, I'm in pre-release, and it is a very, very good program. In fact, I'm graduating this Friday.
Have you taken the course by itself, victim awareness?
No, that's included in there.
Have you taken anger management cage rating?
Yes, I have. In fact, I have my diploma I received from Cage Rage.
Okay. Have you taken thinking for a change?
At my age, definitely. I do not want to die in prison. I will do anything that's required of me to get my freedom back and stay free.
Okay.
Including professional help on the outside with my deviancy.
Mr. Sanchez, I've
Yes,
looked over the history. You've been revoked multiple times, and every time you revoked, there was another sex offense. The entire legal community, the sentencing judge, the DA's office, and law enforcement are adamantly opposed to any early release. Warden Warlord, do you have any comments, remarks, or observations?
Yes, sir, Mr. Roche. I just agree with you on the programming. I spoke with Mr. Sanchez in detail. He just never he figured he was never going home, so he never tried to get in any classes or anything to help himself. And and I spoke with him about you know, he needs to take those programs. He needs to figure out, you know, why he does what he does, and especially the sex offender treatment. And he has agreed, and we did enroll him in that.
He's enrolled in sex offender treatment right now?
He is, as of yesterday. We enrolled him after we talked yesterday.
Good job, boy, Marlon. You discussed it in your pre-parole interview?
Yes, sir.
Great. That's the first step, your total rehabilitation.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman?
Thank you. Can we hear from Mr. Myers at this time? Mr. Randy?
Good afternoon, Randy Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. We are very strongly opposed to Mr. Sanchez. He's a child predator, sexual predator. He's admitted to have deviant behaviors and has no programming to help him with that. I'm glad to hear that he is very recently enrolled in sex offender treatment. He clearly needs that before he even has a chance to be considered for release. And he has very little programming. And I know that he had a disciplinary report, looks like in September of 2020 for fighting. So he continues to get discipline reports. So we're strongly opposed to his release.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Sanchez, is there anything you want to tell us before we vote?
I'm at a loss for words, to tell you the truth.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Roche?
Mr. Sanchez, based upon no sex offender program as of today, based upon opposition from law enforcement, the DA's office, and the sentencing judge, I'm going to deny your request, and hopefully you get a chance to complete that program. And the next time you appear before a panel, the story may be different.
Thank you. Mr. Furman?
I concur with Mr. Roger. I'll vote to the.
All right, so you got two votes to deny. Mr. Sanchez, as of today, my vote is the same. I'm concerned about the court supervision history and the nature of your offenses. I urge you to pay attention to those programs. You don't know what life lies ahead. So, but today you've been denied. That's wishes to you, sir.
You don't, this is just the beginning. You don't believe what he was. I'm going to play something for you, which is just going to blow your mind. But I have his record. They didn't go over it. Do you know that he was convicted 1986, 1980, 2003, all the list goes on and on and on, all against children, and they kept letting him out. And then he got it. We're going to jump in and play this because I can't.
A man who grew up in the neighborhood around Jesuit High School filed a lawsuit today accusing a former school janitor and the janitor's assistant of sexually abusing him. The alleged victim came forward after seeing a Fox 8 report detailing similar allegations last year. Rob Masson has more.
Over time, he started to show more and more interest in me.
Brad Dupree says when he was 10 years old, former Jesuit High School janitor Pete Modica groomed, then lured him onto campus. That's where Dupree says Modica sexually abused him several times over a 2-year period.
I mean, most of the abuses took place in his office, but there were other areas in the building, chemistry lab on the second floor, and a gymnasium changing shower area.
Dupree says Modica introduced him to an assistant janitor named Gary Sanchez. Dupree alleges Sanchez also molested him at Sanchez's apartment at City Park and raped him in a janitorial closet on the 3rd floor of Jesuit High.
Gary Sanchez even told me at one point when I, objected strongly, He told me that, well, if you tell anybody, they're only going to make fun of you anyway.
Dupre's attorney says the allegations are especially horrific since both Modica and Sanchez had been convicted of other child sex crimes.
Monica was convicted of, performing oral sex on two 13-year-old boys in a park in Metairie, a playground. And then, guess what? Jesuit hires him as its director of janitorial services. Absolutely shocking.
For years, Dupre says he kept his nightmare secret due to a condition which court experts call repressed memory.
I started blacking it out immediately as soon as I went on to junior high school.
But Dupre says it all came flooding back when he saw the details of a story Fox 8 News ran last year, detailing claims from another victim.
One time it was in the chapel at Jesuit High School.
Last year, Richard Winman, another boy who grew up in the neighborhood around Jesuit, claimed Modica abused him around the same time frame. Jesuit paid Winman a $450,000 settlement. Dupre says he came forward after seeing the interview with Winman, who now heads up the Louisiana chapter of the Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, or SNAP.
Seeing some of the similarities of the things that happened to me. I mean, these memories kind of started trickling back.
I'm proud of them. It takes a lot of courage to do it. I know when I came forward, it was a very personal decision.
The timing of its new lawsuit is critical.
You have 1 year from the date that you remember that you were abused or you know that you've been hurt.
Dupre claims that because of the abuse, he's had difficulties with drugs and relationships, problems he now hopes to address.
I think, I think these people need to be held accountable.
For its part, Jesuit says it's saddened by any stories of abuse and is unable to comment on prospective litigation. Rob Manson, Fox 8 Local First.
Jesuit's statement went on to say that we have a process in place for people to come forward to tell their story, and we are committed to that process.
I am speechless. And then further to add, I think insult to injury is that, there were no victims' statements. And this hearing took place just a year ago in May 2022. And this article was pushed out in 2020. And you can obviously see that it probably means that the parole board did not notify them. We have seen that happen a small handful of times. Maybe they try to notify them. It doesn't get through. They don't do a good job. We don't know for certain. That's just my guess. But yes, this man was hired, and he has that kind of record. And it wasn't just one time. His conviction record, it's long. But he's 72 years old today, and he will get out in 2032 on his full sentence, assuming he's not paroled. He'll take his programs, as the board said, and then come back. You'll do great. And it's like, what are you talking about? How can this thing ever have an opportunity at stepping outside of prison ever? I don't know what the warden really said. He's like, Mr. O'Shea, I disagree with you. What was that about? He signed up to programs a day before his hearings. It goes beyond. I'm stumbling for words. Thank you, Assistant DA, for showing up. He shows up to virtually all of his hearings, and Randy Meyer, he just happens to get a lot of hearings for Schedule 2 and purse snatching. But you could see that he shows up and he lays the record straight. This guy's a deviant. He's a cockroach. He's a monster. His record goes back from his first case in 1980. It was simple. 7/15/1980, simple, they call it simple grapes. Then in 86, 5/20/86, this is May, he gets indecent behavior with the juvenile. 3 months later, that means that he didn't even spend a day in, I mean, he did what, 3 months later, he gets another conviction, crime against nature, 8/12/86. How do you get a conviction of indecent behavior with the how? You know, it's like you could see. I the more that I do this, and the more I see the different range of dates, and even it's in the 80s, it's in the 90s. It's like, at what point were they tough on I don't want to say crime, because it seems that they kind of have, but on what people do to children. How has this been just an epidemic of crazy justice system and disregard for protecting our children for decades and decades and decades? Like, I want to know, was there a time in history when New Orleans would cease indecent behavior with a juvenile and they would say, whoa, no way. You're going away for life. Hard labor, real hard labor. Or was it always like this whatever, what's a big deal? It's May 28th, 86, indecent behavior with a juvenile, that you could actually get caught up again in 8/12? And then in 2003, for his fourth conviction for doing something to children. So he gets 1980, 86, 86 again, 2003. It's for having videos with children and aggravated assault on a child. And the aggravated aspect of it, and he still only gets 30 years sentence. Why? Why is there not an habitual charge thrown at him? We see habitual charges where people get life because the DA would say, wait a minute. I saw that you have a conviction for Schedule 2 in 1991. You have a conviction for Schedule 2 in 1999. And you have a conviction for Schedule 2 in 2006. Habitual offender, life. And I'm not making it up. We've seen it over and over and over again. But for this, where you have literally, this is his fourth conviction, and all he gets is 30 years. If he stays alive, he will get out in 2032, in 9 years. He'll be 80 years old. That's not that old. What do you think he's going to do when he gets out? If he lives to 100, that's 20 years. If he lives just 1 year out of prison, how many lives can he further derail? Who gives 30 years to someone who's guaranteed to reoffend? But this is why we do it. With that, I'll let you go.